Hey YouTube, welcome to Trevor's Vinyl World. Today I'm actually going to show a vinyl record. I know I'm kind of like one of those sports talk radio shows where half the time we don't talk about sports talk. I know I only talk about vinyls half the time, but when I own a record store someday, we'll talk a lot more vinyls. How about that? But today the vinyl record I'm going to talk about is called Big Metal Birds, and it's the debut album by the noise rock band Janitor Joe. Now, this was recorded way back in 1992, and there's two main reasons. I'm a sucker for any album that mentions Minnesota, and it does that down here. And then also bands that have a female guitarist, which this one does have. So this one is 2 for 2 on some of the things I look for. But anyways, no, I picked that up at a record store, and I want to say, I think I paid like 14 bucks for it. It was used, and but it's kind of a popular one because, well, there's 3 members of the band, the original band. The vocalist was Joe Kim Brewer, who had Minnesota ties, and he was also in a band called the Bastards. So he's in it. And then there is drummer Matt Etzminger. And then the reason I picked this up is the bassist slash vocalist, but mainly bassist, was Kristen Pfaff. Now, she was in this band, and she met these guys because she went to the University of Minnesota. She didn't grow up in Minnesota. I want to say she was from the Seattle area, and then she moved to Minnesota and went to the University of Minnesota, and then started this band. And later she was recruited by Eric Erlandson, who was like one of the blonde-haired tall guy that was in the band Hole. And basically Hole was on a break from tour, and Eric just happened to go to like a local show, maybe even in Minneapolis, and he saw Kristen Pfaff on stage playing bass, and was just, blown away by her talent. I mean, if you look up Janitor Joe on YouTube, the thing that stands out is Kristen Pfaff. I mean, she's just a beautiful lady, striking lady, playing the bass guitar and just shredding, just playing her ass off. And there's definitely talent there. And I think he was just blown away by that. Plus, Hole needed a bass guitarist at the time. They were one of those bands where they kind of went through different people, because for one thing, Courtney Love was hard to work for. And anyways, he told her to audition for Courtney Love, and she did, and she ended up getting a spot as the bass guitarist in the band Hole. So basically, she left Janitor Joe, and then Janitor Joe did replace her momentarily, and she went on the road with Hole, and she helped them record the album, I believe, Live Through This. And it's just really crazy, like when you look up some of the side stories and the stuff that was going on, as far as like Kurt Cobain passed away April 8th of 1994 is when Kurt Cobain died. Kristen Pfaff, she passed away like literally 2 months later on June 16th of 1994. And she was found locked in a bathroom and supposedly overdosed. Although there's a lot of debate about what happened to her. One of the things I found interesting is that she had developed a friendship with Kurt Cobain to the point where he was giving her books. They were sharing notes and talking about everything from music and books. And Courtney Love did not like this at all. Definitely, there were rumors that possibly there was a romantic relationship between Kristen Pfaff and Kurt Cobain. It is known that he gave her his favorite book in the world was this weird book called Perfume, and that was, let's see, I think I wrote down that was written by a guy named Patrick, maybe Suskin. And it's about this guy that's obsessed with coming up with the perfect fragrance for women, but he ends up being like a serial killer. I've actually read part of the book. It's very strange. Kurt Cobain was into some strange art. Hey, that's fine with me. You know, I love Kurt Cobain. But anyways, I picked this record up because of the fact that Kristen Pfaff was in this band. I wouldn't say I'm in love with the songs on it. It's more of a, it's all the history and everything else surrounding. I'm a huge fan of the band Hole, and I think Courtney Love gets a little too much flack. I mean, there a lot of these artists, unfortunately, in the '90s became heroin addicts, and I think Kurt Cobain, I think Courtney Love, I think this beautiful lady Kristen Pfaff, I think they all fell into that boat, and I think after that all bets are off. I mean, you can blame one person or you can blame someone else for your death, but you just shouldn't dance with that devil. Heroin is just such a scary thing, and doing these music research reviews and looking at records and like some of the stuff that I read about, I just realize how many people heroin has taken out. I mean, it's almost it's unbelievable actually. Very sad, very what if type thing. I'm sure that Kristen Pfaff's family was heartbroken after all of this. Yeah, no, and but this band, Janitor Joe, they have had just two albums, and I want to say that after her death, they broke up, and but I just thought this was kind of neat to pick up, and I also thought it was cool. I came across the fact that Hole, they have only released one compilation album in their entire career, and it was called My Body, the Hand Grenade. It's the only time that they ever released a compilation album, and it was released in 1997, and it was dedicated to Kristen Pfaff and Kurt Cobain. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then also on the back here, it says Amphetamine Reptile Records down there. But anyways, that was started by a guy named Tom Haselmeyer, and he basically started that label just so that his band called Halo of Flies would have somewhere to release their records, and that ended up being a huge success. They have released records from the band Helmet, Cows, the Melvins, there's a bunch of bands. So I always like to find out about these record labels and like how they originated. And I love buying records that are from like really small record labels because they just have the not only originality but the balls to just do whatever the hell they want. They really aren't shackled by like these big name corporate record labels. Like if I get signed to some huge Columbia House record deal, well, they're not going to let me have the album cover I want. They're not going to let me have whatever single I want. It's all about the money. Whereas these small record labels, a lot of them just don't give a shit, and I love that. To me, that's the best artist, is the one that just does it because they want to do it. But anyways, just wanted to check in. Everyone subscribe to the channel and have a great day. Talk to you later.